All right. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear it back. If not, I'll troubleshoot it later. So thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to be talking about really just AAC and how to incorporate AAC into activities of daily living. This is more so this introduction into AAC. The best way that I can explain it as well is that think of AAC as kind of this large body of water, and we're not even dipping an entire toe into this AAC water. We're dipping maybe a toenail. So think about it in that aspect. My goal for this presentation is just for you to leave today feeling a little bit more confident than before. But this is a learning process, not only for you all, it's a learning process for me. I'm still learning every day, if anything, with AAC. So my biggest takeaway that I hope you all take from this presentation is to give yourself grace and patience. So to give you a little background about myself, I'm a bilingual speech-language pathologist. I earned both my undergrad and graduate degrees from Florida State, which I know I work for I'm from but I have to say I'm really, really excited and proud of Florida State for this upcoming football season. So if anyone else is a fellow Seminole, I'm here with you guys. Just gonna move this because I have this little thing in front of my screen and it can't distract me. So something that's really important to me as a speech therapist is that I believe that everyone has a message and that message deserves to be heard. And that's where AAC kind of comes into play. What I would really love is if anyone has had any experience with AAC, what your role is with it, what your relationship is with it, feel free to unmute yourself or include it in the chat. I do have my colleague, she's on this side for me, Miss Anna Navarez, and she's going to be moderating the chat for me, and I'll let you do a little introduction if you want.
Oh, no. I'll let you be the speaker here, but thank you, everyone. Put any questions you have in the chat. I'm here to answer them for you, or at least relay them out for everyone to hear.
So you guys will start putting in some of your experience with AAC, even if you've had none, but it's also totally okay. That's normal, that's fine. Just any experience you've had with AAC. If you know what AAC is, I've been saying it a lot, just in case anyone doesn't, because I don't want to presume. AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. And it's, just a different means and a different way to communicate. I also apologize if you hear a little barking dog in the background. She's really excited that the garbage is getting picked up today.
I'm Glendy Sanchez. I work for Early Steps, mostly doing evaluations, of course. I don't have a lot of experience hand-on-hand with AAC as when I was in clinic, and this was over 7 years ago, it wasn't as common as it is now. And we just, in our graduate program, we did not receive a lot of training for that. So I'm super excited to get more training on it. I've done several trainings through the Mailman Center, through just my CEUs in general, but not one-on-one with children, as my job right now is just evaluations for determining eligibility for Early Steps. So we don't do therapy.
Awesome. And that's okay that you don't do therapy with it. I know that I do a lot of evaluations, and we can do it as young guys too. So you can always keep it. There's different ways to kind of incorporate it. So I love that you're here, and I love that everyone's here and ready to learn. All right. So these are some of the goals that I really want to focus on, target today. I'm going to try to make sure I give as much information to you all as I can in an hour. But I want you to learn about what FAST is, because FAST is the reason why we're able to do this presentation at no cost, and you're able to take away this knowledge, but it's a community resource that's at no cost to the community. So I want you to learn about what FAST is and how it can benefit you down the line and in your, not only your AAC journey, but your assistive technology journey, so AT. I'm going to talk with you guys about the different categories that AAC vocabulary falls into. We're going to do, this is the interactive component where we'll learn the ins and outs of a system, but you do not have to have an iPad with you today to participate, because I'm going to have my iPad here, I have it to the side, and I will be doing it with you all. So don't feel like you have to have one to be able to participate. It's just to create an interactive component if you want to. And then finally, we're going to talk about some steps and some ways that you can become a good communication partner. So we got a lot to cover, and we're going to do it as fast as we can. So first I want to talk with you all about FAST. So FAST is Florida's State Assisted Technology Program. So every state and every territory within the United States has their own state AT program. You'll hear me say AT a lot. AT stands for Assistive Technology. So with FAST, because it's Florida's Assistive Technology Program, we have 12 regional demonstration centers scattered throughout the entire state of Florida. And with those regional demonstration centers, we offer 4 services at no cost. Information and assistance, where really it's just maybe someone calling, asking where they can get an AAC evaluation, asking about a specific device if we have it on hand, and just wanting to learn more information about what AT is. We also have our assistive technology demonstrations, and that's typically where someone calls, maybe they're trying to troubleshoot an issue with a device, they're not familiar with the device, they want to learn a specific programming, a specific feature of the device, and that's when we can either give you a hands-on demonstration, we can do a Zoom demonstration, or we can even do a video that we created and sent to you. Then we have our assistive technology trainings, which is one of the ones that we're doing today. And as long as there's an assistive technology component, I can provide a training. So do keep that in mind. I know a lot of organizations do require their employees to do these in-services. I can always help and participate and do your in-service for you if they allow outside individuals to present. As long as it has an AT component, and I can always find a way to include an AT component into it, I can help. And then the one that some of you got to participate in, and one that I'm going to encourage many of you, if you didn't take the chance or the opportunity to do it this time, is our assistive technology short-term loans. And really the way that it is, it's very similar to a lending library. You call us, you ask for a specific device, you see if we have it on hand, and then we're able to loan out one of our devices for 30 days. It's very similar to a library loan. So you have it for a finite amount of time with the intention that you send it back to us. We'll send it to you either through FedEx, or you can arrange a time with either myself or Anna to come and pick up the device at our office. What I'm going to do is show you, here's a little clip so I can show you what our FAST website looks like. For more information about FAST in general, you can go to fast.org. So it's spelled FAAST.org. So this is just a little insight as to what our website looks like. So those are the services that I wanted to talk with you all about on the regional demonstration center level. So again, as I mentioned, there are 12 regional demonstration centers, or RDCs, scattered throughout the entire state of Florida. Fortunately, at the University of Miami, we house 2 of those RDCs. We house South RDC and Broward RDC. Really what that means is that we're able to support anyone that lives in Broward County, Monroe County, or Miami-Dade County. That's not to say that I can't support you if you live in Palm Beach County or if you live in Leon County. It just means that those counties are the ones that are assigned to us, and I can always put you in contact with the regional demonstration center of your corresponding county. But there are services at the headquartered level that typically have some kind of cost attached to them. So we have our AT classifieds, which is very similar to a Facebook marketplace. And really what you can do is check on that website, see what's available. If you want to purchase a device that maybe is too costly, but you want to see if there is a cheaper version on the website, you can check there. Typically these devices are gently used and maybe no longer beneficial to the previous user. So do keep that in mind. They usually have a little bit of love to them, but it is at a discounted rate than you would at a full price device. And what's on there varies. One week you can have maybe an AAC device, another week you can have a walker. So you kind of just have to keep your eyes open and checking it frequently just to see what is available and what's not. Then we also offer our financial loan program, and the way that that works is similar to a bank loan. You take out a certain amount of money, it's agreed upon amount of money with FAST, with a specific agreed upon interest rate with the intention that you pay it back. So I know a lot of people think, oh, this is a grant, I don't have to pay it back, but you do. If you are utilizing the financial loan program, it is a way to get a lump sum of money, but it is with the the expectation that you pay it back. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's kind of jump into, that was a little bit about FAST. Oh, wait, oh no, I did. I showed you the link. But I wanted to show you, so I have the links here. I wanted to show you what our AT classifieds page looks like, or I forget. So see, it's always something new. You never know what's going to be on there. Sometimes it's walkers, sometimes it's the FAST step stool, a wheelchair, an oxygen tank. So keep that in mind. You just kind of have to keep checking it. And then we also have our financial loans. And this is where you can find more information about it. I knew I forgot to click something. So that was all of our FAST information. And again, if you want to learn more information about FAST, you can always email me or you can visit us at fast.org. So FAAST.org. Now, the next thing that I'm going to jump into is our AAC vocabulary. So what is AAC vocabulary? How does that work? How does that look like? How does it differ from our regular everyday vocabulary? Well, I'm going to jump right in. So we have different categories that we section into, at least in regards to AAC. So we have our core words. Core words make up about 80% of the words that we use in our communication daily, and they're present across all languages. It's not just English, it's Spanish, it's Arabic, it's any language. Core words can be verbs, they can be adjectives, they can be pronouns. They're not as likely to be nouns. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but they're just not as likely, because typically nouns are very context specific. So if it's context specific, it's not really able to be used in different ways and throughout multiple times of our day. So some examples of core words are go, get, turn, on, off, up, down. And feel free to shout it out or write it in the chat, but this is where I try to have this interactive component. Can someone tell me 3 different activities where you use the word turn? So just one person each shout out how you can use the word turn, either in the therapy session, either in your everyday life, while you're cooking, while you're just playing a game. How might you use the turn?
Turn on the light.
Turn off the lights is perfect. I did see someone using games saying turn taking. Is there another turn?
Turn up the music.
Turn up the music. Thanks, Ella.
Students maybe in a playground, if they have like one of those roundabout things where they can spin each other or turn each other.
Perfect. So exactly. So you can see that there's so many different ways to use that word turn. You know, it's not very context specific. I can turn the key, I can turn the door, I can turn around, I can take turns, I can turn up the volume. There are so many ways I can create a sentence using the word turn, and that's what makes it core. So let's talk about the other 20%, because if 80% is core, then what's the rest of the 20%? So 20% would be fringe words. Fringe words make up, again, about 20% of our everyday language, but typically they are very specific to a topic, an individual, an environment. Fringe words can and they should be used in all types of systems. So there are different categories for systems. You can have no tech, low tech, mid tech, and high tech. And it's really important to try to incorporate not just core words, but fringe words into the different categories of systems. So do keep that in mind. Some examples of fringe words, especially for Miami: Domino's, Miami Heat, coffee, TikTok, elf, because it could be seasonal. We're not always talking about elves or Santa or Christmas or Halloween or spooky, but these are words that in a seasonal aspect we might be using. Again, keep in mind that fringe words are still really important as they support and expand our vocabulary. Something that I would highly, highly encourage to consider is what fringe words might you use on a daily basis, which kind of leads me into personal core words. So can fringe words be core words? This is a question I get often. So I want you guys to kind of take a seat back and think, what words might a baker use on an everyday basis? You can shout some out there if you think of any.
Oven.
Bread.
Flour.
Flour. Could be rolling pin, yeast, sugar, pie, whatever that individual might need. If they need to communicate and they still want to participate in their job, we need to ensure that what would be a fringe word for us that I don't use often is included. So think about it in that aspect. What words might a social media influencer use on a daily basis? They might use TikTok, they might use Instagram, subscriptions, follows, likes, but they're gonna have two completely different vocabularies. I'm not gonna be using the same words that a baker would be using, and I'm not gonna be using the same words that a social media influencer is gonna be using, but they're important to my everyday life so I can complete my activities of daily function. So there are technically 3 sections. You have your core words, 80%. Fringe words make up 20%, but you can't leave out those personal core words. So if you're working with an individual that maybe they're really motivated and they have a high interest in Bluey, we want to ensure that we have moments of Bluey included there. Maybe they have a Bluey book that they like, or a Bluey pajama that they really like, or a Bluey TV show. Or maybe you're working with an individual who is a big fan of college football. So we want to make sure we have his college football team in there, and that maybe she can cheer on her college football team. She can say chants for her college football team. And we're including those communication opportunities for this individual. All right, so let's get nice and snug. So we want to make sure that if we're offering a high-tech system, we want to be able to ensure that that device can offer snug. So it's spontaneous novel utterance generation. Not the opposite of snug, but typically no-tech, low-tech, and mid-tech systems have what we call PPU. So these are pre-programmed utterances. Now, the difference between PPU and snug is that it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a pre-programmed utterance. So this individual isn't able to generate their own thoughtful, formulated sentence. They're relying not only on someone else to create this phrase for them, but they're also relying that it's going to express the message and the intent that they want it to. Whereas snug allows the individual to express themselves without relying on somebody else. So do keep that in mind. Typically, snug is solely for high-tech systems, and then those pre-programmed utterances, PPU, is more for no-tech, low-tech, and mid-tech systems. There are pros and cons to each, but ideally in the least restrictive type of communication environment, we want to offer snug when possible. So which even kind of takes us further. We want to talk about systems that are predictable and predictive. Again, this is more solely relying for high-tech systems. So think of iPads, think of tablets that have these communication applications on it. Those are more those high-tech systems. Within even those high-tech systems, you can see there's a lot of levels to this. You have a predictable system and a predictive system. So a predictable system is more rooted in using the same singular motor plan to arrive at that specific target vocabulary word. So I know that every time I press this button, press this button, press this button, it is always going to lead me to that target word go, no matter what. I can't get to that target word go any other way. Whereas we have predictive systems, and a predictive system is rooted in a variety of motor plans to arrive at a specific target word. So what that means is there are different paths or different branches that I can use to get to that word go. Think of predictive text on your phone, where it's trying to figure out what you're trying to say. Predictive systems also offer that. And this is very much, there's not one way that's right and one way that's wrong. There's not a better one. There's not a lesser of two evils. It's really based on the individual. What does the individual prefer? What does the individual like? So think of it more as the reason why I might be an Android user over an iPhone user. It's more personal preference. And whichever one I find easier to have that ease of access. All right, so this is where we get the interactive part. So if you do have your iPad, start getting it ready because we're gonna be branching into it soon. So I'm gonna kind of be your tour guide for these systems. So we're gonna be talking about three different systems today: Protocol to Go, LAMP, and Touch Chat. Now, there are many more systems other than just these three, but these are the ones that in my clinical experience, what I typically see the most working with high-tech systems. Again, this is kind of more solely focused on high-tech systems. And here are three features of the program that we're going to talk about: Word Finder, Hide and Show, and Edit Mode. Again, there are probably a lot more features and programming features that we're able to do for these systems, but I'm just trying to give you that little pinky toe into the depths of the AAC water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing on my laptop and I'm going to start sharing on here. So if you guys want to start getting yourselves ready. Oh wait, but I need both. Hold on. I'm silly. I forgot my own presentation. Let me show you what we're going to be doing first. All right, so we're gonna be using Word Finder on all 3 systems. And the goal for us is to see if we can find the word mom. So that's my intention, that's my goal. I'm gonna be opening up the screen share on my system, and our goal is to look for the word mom. So I'm gonna swap over, and we're gonna start with lamp. So let's open with lamp first. I can share my screen, that would be a lot easier. Takes a second. All right, so I'm gonna go to where I have lamp saved. I'm gonna start us from the very beginning. So you can see that I have a couple of vocabularies available. What I want you to take notice is the difference between the green locks and the yellow locks. So the yellow locks are ones that I cannot edit, I cannot do anything to those systems. To use Word Finder, I don't need to create my own system, but to do a couple of the other things that we want to talk about, it is necessary to create our own system, but I'm not technically creating. So the way that I am creating a new system for someone isn't by selecting create new vocab. You're going to select copy a vocab. Now the reason I say this, again, these are research-based systems. So we want to make sure that we're using the provided vocabulary systems and not creating our own. We're not editing anything on these pages. We're adapting it, but anywhere that there's a button, I'm not touching. So I'm going to click on copy a vocab, and I'm just going to copy lamp words for life full, and we're just going to title it AAC, since that's kind of what we're doing today. So the way that we're going to look for mom in lamp is we're going to go to menu, Word Finder. I'm just going to type in mom. And what's really nice is it'll guide you. So all I have to do is click on this arrow, and it'll kind of blur out the rest of the icon so I can find it.
Mom.
That's how I can find mom. So that's how you use the Word Finder on lamp. Now I'm going to show you how to use Word Finder on touch chat. So again, I actually had created the system, but we're going to do it again. I'm going to go to menu, copy a vocab. We're going to scroll down. We're working with Word Power 60. It doesn't really matter which one you want to work with. This is just kind of an example. I'm going to click AAC, save it. Gonna go to it, and now if I want to find a word, and each system is different. I'm going to go to the keyboard. You see in the bottom there's a section that says find word. I'm going to click on it, and then it opens up Word Finder for me, so I can type it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, I'm not sure what happened. Can you guys still see my screen?
We see now the quote.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna start a new user. So go to user, add user. I'll put again AAC, done. Language I want is English. If I'm using with a bilingual user, I can create a Spanish system. Click on next. Gonna pick a voice.
I'm Ryan, the male. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And then that's
the
my
male.
French selection. And again, it's gonna vary depending on the person. So it does walk you through it, but again, it depends on the individual. So it's creating my system. And again, let's say I'm trying to find the word mom. I'm gonna go here. There's a little 4 boxes in the top and the bottom left corner. I'm gonna click on search, and then I'm gonna type mom, search. And then again, it tells me where I can find it.
Mom.
So that's our first
Mom.
one done. So I'm gonna stop testing on that one and swap back to our presentation. If at any point anyone has any questions, please let me know. So that's how we use mom. Okay, so now I'm going to show you is hide and show. What I will say about these systems is that they all have different hide and show features. What I can say is LAMP was essentially created to acquire language maybe a little bit differently than Touch Chat and Proloquo. For LAMP, all I have to do is click on the vocabulary word that I want to hide, and it'll automatically hide it. Whereas with Touch Chat and Proloquo, I have to physically go through each page to hide a word. So you saw there were different paths to get to that word. I can hide the motor plan essentially for the word for the first motor plan, but I didn't hide it for the 5 other motor plans. So there are different ways still to get to the word, even if I hide it. I don't know if that's making sense, but I think when I dive into the systems and I show you, you'll get a better idea. So we're gonna use hide and show for the word ghost. I'm gonna stop the screen again. Sorry, I know it's a lot of jumping back and forth, but I really want you guys to get this experience. Takes a second. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions about anything, please put in the chat, unmute yourself, let me know, happily answer. All right, so let's start again from the beginning. We're gonna go to LAMP. So the word that we wanted to, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. The word that we wanted that we wanted to hide and show was for ghost. So I want to make sure I know where ghost is first, because sometimes I don't know. So I'm going to go into Word Finder and I'm going to click on ghost so I can find it, because I might not know where it is. Perfect. So I see that ghost is where the make icon is. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to menu and I'm going to click on vocab builder. You see at the bottom, there's this off on section. Right now it's off. I want to make sure that it's on. So what I did just by selecting on, I hid all of my words, because as you can see, nothing is checked. So if I type here and I go ghost and I check it off, that means that will be the only word that's going to show. So you're going to see my screen almost look like it's going to change, but it's not. I'm just hiding all the words. I'm not deleting anything. I'm not editing anything. I'm hiding. The icons are still exactly where they're supposed to be. So if I click done, you'll see that all the words all of a sudden disappeared. I go to make, back to holidays,
Ghost.
there's ghost. So that's how we use hide and show for this system. All right, so I'm gonna try it now for touch chat. Again, this might be, it's gonna be a little different, is really just the gist of it. So I'm gonna find it for here too. I'm gonna look for the word ghost. All right, so I know where ghost is now. So if I want to hide the word ghost, or if I want to hide some other options, oh, I did not pay attention and I did not see where ghost is. My bad. See, it's all a learning process. Give yourself grace, because usually everyone needs a little bit. Okay, so it's in groups, imagine, and ghost, right? So I go groups, imagine, ghost. So let's say I want to hide
Ghost.
all of the words on here, right? I don't want any of these words showing. I just want the word ghost showing. I can go to menu. I'm going to click on edit page. I'm not changing anything, but I do have to click on edit page. I'm going to click on menu again, and you'll see that there's an option called hide mode. Right now I'm in edit mode because the bar at the top is red. When I go into hide mode, the bar turns green. I know that I'm not editing, I'm not changing anything, I'm just hiding. So let's say I want to hide everything in here except for the word ghost. I just have to select it and it'll blur it out. Now I want you to pay careful attention to the word I. I'm hiding the word I, but I'll show you that when I go back to the home screen, the word I will still be available, because I'm only hiding in this essentially category, this group. I'm only hiding the word, the rest of the words. I'm not hiding in different categories. So I'm going to click on done. You see there's ghost,
Ghost.
right? Perfect. If I go back home though, I's there, my's there, everything is still there. So if I only wanted to hide the word ghost, it wouldn't be possible. Sorry, I lost my track again for this one. We're just gonna use word finder because that's what it's for. But that's kind of why I wanted to show you the difference between the two. Whereas with this one, yes, it does hide everything in this category, but it doesn't hide the word I. So if I wanted to hide the word I'd have to go through each page.
Ghost.
So there's ghost. All right. And then I'm going to now go into protocol. So we're gonna, oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. All right. So now we're gonna try the hide the word ghost. Again, it's going to be a similar experience.
One
Yep.
question, sorry to interrupt. There's a question about how do you bring back the icons again once they're hidden?
So once they're hidden, you'll have to uncheck them, or you have to go back and, so you'll have to uncheck it, or sorry, you'll have to check it for lamp, and then for touch chat, you will have to go back and then essentially blur it. So it is not a lengthy process, but it is, it's kind of timely. There are benefits to using the hide and mode feature. I do it when I'm conducting therapy and do it when I'm doing my AAC evaluations because it is very overwhelming. So you essentially get to build that vocabulary back. There are, what I will say, it's not controversial, but there are polarizing opinions sometimes. Sometimes therapists who use AAC recommend never hiding any of the words. And then there are some therapists who recommend building it up and always hiding the words and only building up the vocabulary. And then sometimes there are therapists that recommend hiding it for specific activities. And then when they leave therapy, making sure they have all of the vocabulary present. My advice for that is do what's best for the individual you're working with. I had an individual that I was working with that we were hiding vocabulary very often, but we were building up his vocabulary so quickly that it got to the point where there was no sense in having the vocabulary hidden anymore. Here, at that point, he already had the iPad for about a year and a half, and he was communicating beautifully using the words that he had access to. So we figured we're going to kind of take the dive and we're going to show all the vocabulary. And yes, he perseverated. Yes, it was distracting. But what I will say is that was maybe 2 weeks of him just kind of babbling and exploring on the device, and then he was able to communicate without issue. Something that I will also reiterate is don't hide a word just because a child's perseverating on it. You would treat that child the same way you would as a child that's verbally perseverating. So I had a kid that I used to work with that he loved to perseverate on the word cookie. So our entire session was cookie, 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 cookie on the system. Now, I learned early on to not hide that word, but I will say I had seen other therapists working with him that would hide the word because to them it was annoying. And I remember having a conversation with them and asking, but what do we do? What happens if he could verbally say cookie? And then she's like, oh, we'll redirect. And so I kind of brought it to her attention, and that's the aspect we want to take. We don't hide because it's annoying, because if a kid was saying cookie, 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 I couldn't duct tape their mouth to keep them silent. I have to redirect. So do keep that in mind. Hide is to learn. It's not to essentially eliminate those perseverations. So let's find the word ghost, because this is another one that I'm not sure where ghost is. All right, so I'll click on it. So it's in people. I have to click on more and then characters, and there's ghost. So that was 4 pages that I had to navigate. So do keep that in mind. I think touch chat was maybe 3 pages. I think lamp was 3 pages. I had to navigate 4 pages for this one. So very similar to touch chat. I'm going to click on this little pencil that's in the bottom, in the bottom bar. And you're going to see these check marks. So I'm going to check all of them. So these are all the ones that I can edit. So if I want to hide, I'm going to change the visibility. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on hidden, and now all of these words are hidden. Oh, so I have, I guess I didn't change the vocabulary, but typically I'm able to hide those as well. but for all intents and purposes, we're just gonna pretend they're hidden. So if I want to make sure that ghost is showing, I can unselect it, or I can make sure that these are all unselected. So this is kind of the opposite of lamp. So now I can make it normal. So whatever's checked is normal. So you kind of have to do double the work. Click done. And then there's ghost.
Ghost.
But again, nothing else. There are other words are hidden, but it does take time because you have to hide per page, whereas lamp just kind of hides it automatically. But again, it's rooted in the difference in those motor plans. So keep that in mind. So let me stop share here. Let's move to our next one. So I did do a little extra preparation for this one. So for our next system that we're going to talk about is how to edit. So what I would like to say is you only edit in spaces that are available, that aren't already taken by another icon. So you don't edit a button that's already there. You're going to edit a blank button, and I'll show you what a blank button looks like. But essentially there's no icon, there's no picture, there's nothing. You are creating this button as there's nothing there. So we're going to edit Guy Fieri into this because the person you're working with really likes Guy Fieri and really likes diners, drive-ins, and dives. So we're gonna find him in there. I will say I already included a picture of Guy Fieri into my iPad. So all you really have to do is download the image and you can import it. But do keep that in mind. I don't just naturally have Guy Fieri on the iPad. So I'm gonna stop the share here and go back. And again, this is the time to ask questions. If at any point you have a question while we're in that transition mode. All right, so I'm gonna open lamp words for life. All right, so, oh no, I don't wanna choose a new, okay. So I'll just use a random one. Okay, sorry, everything's gonna be hidden still on lamp. But if I want to, here, I'm gonna make something visible really quick. Because let's say I want to put Guy Fieri where the word mom is, or if I want to put, because he's a person, or I want to put him maybe for like a TV show. I want to make sure that those buttons are visible. So for me, I'm going to add Guy Fieri with the people. So you'll see there's mom. But when I go to menu, I'm going to go into edit page. And you're going to see I have these blank button options. So I'm not going to add in anything where mom might be, sister might be. I will give this caveat. You can actually put the picture of the individual's mom. If they call their mother mommy, if they call their dad papi, feel free to edit that. That's fine. But I'm not going to edit the word. I'm going to edit the button that says let. I'm not going to edit the button that says allow or marry. Those are all there for a specific reason. Everything is rooted in research and evidence-based practice. So do keep that in mind. Do not edit. And I really can't stress that enough because I always get it sent back. Do not edit anything that has an icon. Edit anything that says blank. So I'm gonna put Guy Fieri right here. So I'm gonna create a new button. I'm gonna add in his name. And if I scroll down, I can import an image from my library. Oh, guess I didn't give it permission. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Let's try it again. All right, so again, I go into edit page. I'm gonna click here, create new button. Guy Fieri. And I'm gonna import image. And there he is. And now I'm done. So if I want to make sure that I can hear him or have access to him, I just have to uncheck him, or check him rather, sorry. And
Guy Fieri.
there's Guy Fieri. So that's how we do it on LAMP. And let me do it now with you guys on Touch Chat. So again, where might I put Guy Fieri? Might put him in people. Looking for a blank button. I see a couple blank buttons. So I'll go to menu, edit page. I'm gonna click on this button, edit this button, type in Guy Fieri again. And import image. Let's see. Yep, I'm gonna have to probably do it for all of them, sorry. Let me do all photos. Okay, so let's go back to touch chat. But it's okay, so let's repeat it again. So we're gonna go to people. Oh, okay. Here's something I will say. And this goes for lamp, touch chat, and Proloquo. Let's say I accidentally start on here and I go menu, edit page. Keep in mind, you're only editing this page. So even though I want to go into people, I can't edit it from people. I have to be on the exact page that I want to edit before I do that. So do keep that in mind. So that's why you see me jumping around. It's because I need to be on the specific page. Just think of it as a folder. I need to open this folder to get to this page. So I can't make any edits to it until I do that. So I see someone raise their hand. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi there, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I have a question. So I have a patient that just got his device. But his device is locked, so it only has access to LAMP. How can I personalize it for him?
So you should still, the personalization, I know it's a little bit difficult. You can unlock it for a fee, but the family has to unlock it. Usually I think it's like a $25 fee, but you have to reach out to the company and then they'll give you a code to unlock it. So you are able to unlock it. You just have to request permission.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Of course. So so you see I'm in edit mode now. I have the red bar. I'm gonna click on edit this button. We're gonna select the image. Oh, sorry, we're gonna import image. I'm gonna add Guy Fieri. I'm gonna make sure I have Guy Fieri. All right, and there he is. So now
Guy Fieri.
be able to hear Guy Fieri. And then on our last one, the same thing. I want to find a place to put Guy Fieri, probably just put him in people like I have with everyone else. You can see that there are blank spots. So I'm going to go into the edit mode and I can click here to add Guy Fieri. See if I add picture, I have a feeling it's going to make me, oh no, all right, that one worked. So I can edit it, I can crop. So that's really nice with Proloquo, and I can add in Guy Fieri. So done, and then
Guy Fieri.
there you go. So that's how you can edit. That's how you can hide.
Guy
That's how you
Fieri.
can use Word Finder. I know that was probably a lot of information. And again, this is going to be recorded, so you guys will have access to this presentation and to this PowerPoint. I'll make sure to send out a copy of this PowerPoint. But these are also all resources that you can find online on YouTube at any point. Just type in how to do edit mode on Proloquo, how to do edit mode on whatever system you might be using. These are just some features. Something I also wanted to talk about is kind of how I believe Nicole's the one who asked about the dedicated device. It is important to have that distinction between a dedicated device and you're able to use that, do that using guided access. So let's say you do unlock the iPad or the system, it is important to make sure that you have the ability to put it back onto guided access. For AAC, for iPads, the way to do it, and there's so many different systems now because iPads have updated so much. If you have an older iPad that has the circle, or I guess the button, you have to click that button 3 times. If you have one of the newer iPads, there's a button on the side or the top button. You have to click that one 3 times. So my recommendation is you can look up how to do guided access using YouTube, depending on the system that you have. I can also walk you through it if you're just like, hey, I need like a 5-minute video on how to do it. I have this type of system, or I have this type of iPad. Let me know and I can help you. What I will say is Apple has great accessibility features and guided access is one of those accessibility features. So you are able to lock the iPad, but not only will you lock the iPad, you can also lock off certain not buttons, but let's say you have a little friend or individual that you're working with that really gets distracted and tries to go to the menu page and tries to go to the vocabulary page, those are ones that you can block out. So keep that in mind. So how do you be a good AAC partner though? You want to follow their lead. Take the individual's lead. Communication needs to be motivating. If the motivating factor is you leaving, then you can target the words go and away, or you can target them together, go away. If the motivating factor is taking off your shoes, then you can target shoe off, take off, shoe on floor, shoe wherever it might be. I had a little one that I was working with once that he just really wanted me to take off my shoes. So that was what we did. I would like to say that everyone is motivated by something. You just kind of have to figure out what that something is. So keep in mind, we're not drilling here because communication is essential, but it needs to be fun. So this isn't a bombardment with questions. This isn't, oh, tell me you want to eat a goldfish and I give you one goldfish. If you ask for a goldfish or you ask for a snack, I'm not going to treat you like a little puppy. I'm giving you a good handful and you're going to eat it. And then maybe at the end of that, if you want more, you can request for more goldfish. But this isn't kind of like I'm withholding all of this desiring item that you want. I'm going to give you some time with it. And then maybe it's my turn and I can take it back. So think about it in that aspect. We're not drilling. We need to make it fun. We want them to gravitate towards the device and not have this adverse reaction to it. So it needs to be fun. Everything kind of individual-led, child-led. Something that I really like to say, and this is something that I have created, is how to put the P in being a communication partner. So mind your 5 Ps is really what I want you to take away from. I need to presume confidence when you're working with any individual, because typically we don't know what that person can do if they've never been handed any type of assistive technology tool. So you don't know what that individual is actually capable of. You want to present models for the AAC user so that they can learn by example. And essentially you present without expectation. I'm not expecting them to imitate my motor plan. I'm not expecting them to touch the icon or say the word that I'm modeling. I'm just presenting models. I'm going to pause to allow for opportunities for communication. So I might kind of tilt my head. I might give them an expected pause. I might count to 10 seconds to see, do they need that extra processing time to figure out what it is that I'm asking of them? And I'm going to prompt when it's needed, whether it's a verbal, gestural, sometimes a tactile prompt. What I will say is if you're going to offer a tactile prompt, never do hand overhand, always do hand underhand. Research is showing now that it increases independence and it's easier to pull back on the type of prompt doing hand underhand. So for hand underhand, it's easier to put my hand underneath theirs and then maybe guide them through the wrist and then guide them through the elbow or guide them through a touch on their shoulder. So remember, hand underhand, so they're not dependent on you to help use their device. And then always just provide consistent responses and feedback. Make sure you get really excited, throw a party when they are able to communicate using their device. And let's say they're requesting for a specific item, maybe give that item to them for extra amount of time so they really can make that cause and effect connection of, oh, this, when I click this icon and I say this is the meaning behind it. Something I will say too is try to stay away from saying, oh, touch this button, touch this, do this. We're not touching, we're talking. It's their device. So keep that in mind. We're using talk, not touch. Nicole, I see your hands. Oh, Anna, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead with Nicole, but I just was going to say there's also some comments on the chat that we could address as well.
Sure.
Hi, I have a question. What do we do in an instance where we have a patient that may be perseverating on an icon, maybe the way it sounds or it looks? What do we do in that instance so we're not discouraging them from using the device, but also redirecting them? Because sometimes we notice that they're not so much communicating intentionally. What do you recommend in this instance?
So try to attach, is it more like a mishit, like they're just clicking the icon, but they're not, that's not the intended action or verb?
The patient likes the color blue, and so we'll be doing an activity, but they'll be perseverating on the color blue. So they may be pressing the button 20 times repetitively and engaging in a self-stimulatory behavior. So what do we do so that we don't discourage, but we kind of redirect?
So usually in those instances, and I've had that happen to me, and sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't. My go-to response is, okay, like, yeah, we talked about the blue color, we colored with blue, we're all done coloring with blue. And then I model, we're gonna go play with the ball right now. And then if they still kind of keep perseverating on blue, if I'm able to maybe find a blue ball, I can redirect it. Yeah, we're gonna play with the blue ball, and then I can create a new sentence. Yeah, we're gonna sit at the blue table. So at least I'm still attaching meaning to that word or whatever it is that they're perseverating on, and able to create some type of connection. So we just want to make sure we're creating that connection between this is the meaning of that icon, and just acknowledging, yeah, I know that's what you want to play with. Let's move on to something else. Or yes, you're right, that is blue. Thanks for letting me know. I'm all done talking about blue. Let's move on to our next activity.
Perfect, thank you.
Of course.
I think this goes along to a question in the chat about the Donna made about before when you mentioned that some icons should not be edited or personalized. Can you expand on this? In terms of, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Tina, but in terms of Tina mentioning actually programming the software, what she meant earlier was that try to keep the original vocabulary, you know, where it is and not change things. But if you have something more personal, always use blank spaces. But going along with what we just discussed about icons and pictures, keeping in mind that for the most part, it's attaching meaning to that picture or icon rather than focusing as much on just the picture or visual. If you can expand on that, Tina?
Yeah, I get a lot of parents, especially with LAMP or certain systems, they'll say like, well, why this icon? Why I don't get why this icon doesn't make sense. It's the same way as we created the word or to say the word more. It's arbitrary. This is what it means. So try not to get stuck so much on the photo or the picture itself, because what's nice is that, and I can send you a video that further explains a little bit better. But typically the picture, the icon that they use and the colors that they use, you'll be able to see it in other pages. And there's always a reason why there's something attached to it. Again, it's evidence-based. So as much as sometimes it doesn't feel like it makes sense, try not to focus on, well, this image doesn't make sense for the word get. Why is the word get a mountain with a sun? Or why is the word go a frog jumping? Try not to focus and get stuck on the word and just understand it's the motor plan. That helps. I hope that helped answer the question.
And the meaning that you give to that symbol. Exactly. By using it in different scenarios, by using, you know, an apple for eat, they can also learn that it means I'm hungry or I want a snack, right. Because a visual can represent something different to you than to me than to them. Right. Another question before we go on, because I know we are less than 10 minutes into it, and this is so much information that Tina's trying to give you. It's so much and it's so great. One of the questions, where were you, was about, you know, which app to recommend to start off with. And that's also sort of like a monumental question, a hard and a simple question, because there's no right or wrong. You really have to look at these apps and learn the features of each one to match them to the needs of the child.
Right. So what Anna's talking about is the feature mapping. So that's why we trial different systems. So whenever I have someone come for an AAC evaluation, even if I have their background information, even if it's a patient I've been treating, I'm not just gonna be like, okay, we're gonna do LAMP because LAMP makes sense and I like LAMP. You really need to stray away from this makes sense to me, so I'm gonna recommend this. You do have to trial out different systems. You can't just kind of start with one right from the start, just be like, yeah, this works. What I will say is something is better than nothing. So I would highly encourage to incorporate AAC into your system, into your therapy sessions or any type of life sessions if you're able to. But if you notice that this client that you're working with has potential to use an AAC device, I would ensure that you're trialing out different systems. So different low-tech systems, even different high-tech systems, but making sure you're giving them the opportunity to, again, we're presuming that they have confidence, and we want to make sure that we're presenting as many options to them as we can. So,
and definitely don't be scared about feeling like, how do I need, like, knowing everything about every app? You know, even us to do this day in, day out, we learn new things every day. So it's really getting started is the first step.
And I mean, I'll be completely honest, there are systems that I'm a lot more proficient in than others, and that's perfectly fine, but that doesn't mean that just because I'm proficient in one and one feels like it makes more sense to me, doesn't mean that I'm not going to learn a new system and recommend that new system for the user if I notice that they're having a lot of success with it. So it kind of is a nice segue into like who can use AAC, because truly anyone and everyone can use it. There is no age that's too young. There is no age that's too old. There are no prerequisites or skills that are needed to master AAC, which is something I hear a lot. It's like, oh, well, they can't do this, so they can't use AAC, or, oh, they can't focus, so they can't use AAC. That's not it. That's not how it works at all. AAC is also not a last-ditch effort. Just because your child or individual that you're working with has some kind of vocalizations or verbalizations, doesn't mean that we can't trial AAC. And it also doesn't mean that we need to master a low-tech device before we move on to a high-tech device. So keep that in mind. AAC is for anyone and everyone, and really anyone can use it. I'm going to talk real quickly about assistive technology and transition. What I will say is all AAC is assistive technology, but not all assistive technology is AAC. Assistive technology does need to be included in an individualized education plan to support children entering that secondary transition. I want you to think about, what does the class, what classroom will meet, the 18 needs. What does that look like? What does that entail? It's important to include assistive technology into the IEPs for those who need that extra support for educational and vocational transition. So if you're working with someone who needs that who needs any type of assistive technology supports when they're transitioning to college, or maybe when they're in high school, or for the job that they're going to be in, we want to ensure that all these environmental supports support the children with complex communication needs. So keep that in mind. If you're working with a child who has an AAC device, advocate and fight so that they can use that AAC device in the classroom. I worked in Gadsden County when I was in grad school, and we had kids that worked with AAC, and they had in their IEP, but unfortunately, those devices would be left in their cubbies because the teachers weren't comfortable working with those devices. I would encourage and kind of enforce to the teachers, hey, this is in their IEP, we need to support them, we need to help them, we need to move forward with this. So try your best to be the best type of advocate for that user. I did see that Donna put something about what child cannot actually touch the AAC. There are so many accommodations that we have at FAST, and I love that because this could be a completely other topic. I always tell everyone there is no, well, they can't do it, so it doesn't work. You can use head tracking, we can use auditory scanning, we can use partner assisted scanning, we can use direct select, we can use switch buttons. There are so many options out there, and you know what, I'll probably do another presentation about the different types of access methods out there, but I promise, where there is a will, there is a way. So if you are, Donna, if you're thinking of someone specific, please email me and I can talk with you about some alternative access methods. But just know that there are a lot of access methods out there. Even if someone is deaf, even if they're blind, even if they have no volitional movement, there are ways to help figure out what access method works best for them. Sorry, that's a lot of information. So we're going to kind of end it with, thinking about what do you need to build your dream house. So when you're building this house, you need your windows, you need your contractor, you need an electrician, you need an engineer sometimes, you need an interior designer. There's so many things that go into building your dream house, and AAC is very similar to that. Each team member is just as important as the other person, and you have to keep in mind that we're all building the same house. It's our responsibility to learn how to use and incorporate this device into the AAC user's everyday life, and we're working as a team. Like I said, I've worked with individuals in the past who are like, I've never used this device, so I'm not touching it. I'm afraid to use it. Don't be afraid. Don't think that this is not going to work or it's not going to be beneficial. Know that we're here for you. We can help you. But kind of how this quote says, I really liked it. You cannot shake hands with clenched fist. You really can't build a house together if we're not working as a team. So that's really it. Sorry, I wanted to end right on time. But if anyone has any questions or comments, please let me know. I will stay on a little bit later if anyone needs. But if you're not able to stay on, because I know you have patients that you're seeing, you have meetings you might have to go to. This is my contact information. We also have an Instagram and a YouTube account. Again, this video will most likely be on there later today. But if you guys have any questions at all, please let me know. That's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I do have a question. You mentioned that the video will be available somewhere later on.
Yes, so you type in on YouTube, Mailman Center AT program, University of Miami. It'll hopefully pop up later today. I need to make sure that the audio recorded. If it didn't, I'm gonna re-record it, but I'm also gonna send you all out an email. So if something happened with the audio, I will make sure to record it. If not today, at least next week, and send it out next week. But thankfully I have everyone's email address, so I will send it out and make sure to upload it to our YouTube channel.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna stop the recording, but again, if at any point, please let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll stay on.